And welcome back to Clutch Time. In today's episode, we're talking about who should go number 3 overall in the SWBA draft. And so let's go ahead and let's jump into it. So I've got 4 players that I have in mind that could come up as the 3rd selection. And so there's no right or wrong answer, but just more so just to kind of get the discussion going as we get ready to approach the SWBA draft, which I believe is about 11 days away here. And so let's go ahead and let's jump into the first player that potentially could go number 3 in the upcoming SWBA draft. And by the way, here is the order. So you could see that from 3 down. And so if you're going ahead and you're thinking about who you would take there at 3 and so on, this is the teams and the actual order that they're going to be in. And so the first player that I have is Jalen Snow. And so Jalen Snow coming off helping UCLA win Hoopsteria. And I think it's no question that, look, Jalen Snow can score from just about anywhere on the floor. And I think that what I loved most about his game throughout the tournament was his ability to not only shoot the 3 ball, but I thought he was terrific as far as getting into transition. And so I think he was great there. And I think he really shows that he could move off ball and be a scorer that way. I think that that was kind of one of the biggest questions that I had, was just like, would he be a player that needs the ball in his hands a lot? And so I don't think that he's that type of player. At least that's what I saw in Hoopsteria. And I think that a lot of the time was spent talking about, well, who can improve their draft stock or whatnot. And I think that really when you look at Jalen Snow, I thought he improved his draft stock because he did show that he had the ability to play off the ball and really play with others. And I thought also, too, defensively, he was a lot better than anticipated. And so I thought that I was just very impressed with the way that he was able to get over top of screens and really the activity that I saw with him defensively. And so you don't necessarily see the numbers jump out, but I do think that that has to really weigh in with, these GMs that are getting ready to go ahead and pick from 3 on. And so I think that Jalen Snow has to be in that conversation, but you guys let me know again. This is a guy that can score from anywhere. I thought defensively he showed some upside. And then also, too, I think from a leadership standpoint, I thought we got a chance to see a little bit more of that with Jalen Snow throughout the tournament. So next up, the next player that I think is certainly in consideration for pick number 3, it would have to be Cooper Kenji Cross. And so when we look at Cooper Kenji Cross, I think you're looking at a player that is very ball dominant for the most part. And I think that, look, if you look at what he was able to do with his time there at Maryland, I think that pretty much Maryland went as he went. So, I think the question for CKC is going to be, can he be more of an off-ball type of player? Because I think he was very ball dominant in Maryland. And then also, too, I think that it's going to be interesting because now when he moves up to the SWBA, even if it is a team that traditionally has struggled to get to this point, you're going to be playing with some much better players, especially if he goes at pick number 3 to the 76ers, just thinking about just the veterans that they already have there and things like that. And so it's going to be a lot more of a different situation than he had in Maryland. And so it's going to be interesting how exactly he fits in. Does he become a major piece there? Does it make sense for him to go at pick number 3? But, this is a question. And so, with CKC, for me, I think I want to see a little bit more defensively from him. Can he be more of a lockdown type of player and really kind of put his name into being a 2-way player? Because I think that that's probably going to be the next step for him as a player. I think he's going to have to be a bit more of a 2-way player. And I also think he's going to have to become a bit more of a better passer, I think, at the next level as well. Just personally, I think that he's going to have to be able to find a way to make plays. And so we know that he can get space to get his shots and get to the places that he wants to get to on the floor. But at some point, if you want to be a terrific player, you got to be able to create for others. And so I think that that's going to be a question. And so you guys let me know, would you take him at pick number 3 or where would you take him? And then next, another player that I think's really cooled off as far as his name in the draft is going to be Trey Turner. And so I think a lot of people are overlooking Trey Turner. And I just love the way that he shoots the basketball. I think that, he might have maybe the best shot mechanics in the draft. I mean, because it's so smooth and effortless out there, the way that he's able to just knock down jump shots and things like that. And so terrific with the off ball movement for him. I think he's great at setting up his defenders and getting them into pin downs or whatnot. And so I think that that's something that's immediately going to translate. Now, the question for him is I wanted to see a little bit more with what he can do off the ball. So I did see that, look, he will definitely finish at the rim with some authority at times when he's open in the open floor and things like that. But can he be a guy that's going to put it on the deck a lot more and get to the cup, maybe take contact and things like that and finish through the contact? And so that's going to be the biggest question with him. I think defensively, he was pretty good for the most part. I liked how he played the passing lanes and whatnot. And so Trey Turner, definitely, I think, he's a safe pick when you're looking at the way offenses are really designed now, which is knocking down 3-point shots. And so he's going to be able to certainly fill it up in transition. He would be that guy that will come down and instead of going for the layup, he will definitely look for the 3-point line. But he also, too, if you force him to go to the basket off the transition, he doesn't have a problem there. But let's see if he can put it all together. Once again, do you guys think that he should be in the pick 3 considerations here? And so lastly, the last player that I want to talk about here is going to be Lamarian Sherwood. I think that Lamarian Sherwood really showed his dominance with Iowa, especially after he got injured and came back to that team. I think that you really got a chance to see just how impactful he was on the floor. And so, the question for Lamarian Sherwood is can he really expand his game? Because right now, this guy is a guy that is strictly into the paint. He's certainly going to dunk the ball. I think he feels comfortable finishing with either hand. That's not going to be the issue. It's just that he is going to be, I think, extremely dependent on somebody else setting him up. And so that means that if you don't have elite guard play, then he's going to struggle, because I'm not sure if he's the type of guy that he's going to be able to just go ahead and say, all right, here's the ball, and you're going to have to do something else besides back to the basket and him find a way to score. I think that he's a guy that he's going to benefit from just a guard kind of getting the defense to rotate and things like that for him to slide in. I think at times he's going to be able to get the back to the basket kind of stuff, but keep in mind, I mean, he's going to have to get a much stronger at the SWBA level, because what he did here, in college is just not necessarily going to translate there. But anyhow, you guys let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking here as far as who should really go number 3. I think we already know who is going to be picked number 1 and 2, but that's the biggest question here. And so you got Jalen Snow, who could be in consideration. Would you go with the cover athlete there to go ahead and continue on your franchise and hopefully get them in the right direction? Would you go with CKC? Is he the guy that you would go with? Is it Trey Turner? The way that he can knock down shots and things like that? Or would you go with this big man in Lamarian Sherwood? I'd love to hear what your thoughts are, and I can't wait to see what everybody's thinking there. So as we always say, look, see the game and be the game. I'll see you guys on the next one. All right, peace.